What is up, everybody? Mark on the mic. My good friend Ryan Muckenhirn across from me, and also across from me today, my other good friend, Mr. Mike McDowell.
The owl, as we call him.
Well, this is not something I'm familiar with.
We do call him the owl.
Why is this?
I cough up pellets.
Yeah.
Various bones and fur.
Well, he's wise and old. Mikey.
You dog.
I know.
Boy, zinger. Jeez.
I love Mike. Mike is a dear friend and confidant, and he keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, I love Mike too. I love Lamp. I love lots of things. Mike, it seems like oftentimes when we have a binocular-related podcast, we say we need to get Mike up here. And that's what we're doing today. We're talking about binocular configurations, kind of what you get, maybe what you give up, and application, like when you should select one for, how you intend to use it. Ryan, yes.
I would like to point of order on Mike.
Point of order.
Yeah, Mike's been here a long time, quarter of a century. He started with Eagle Optics. And just today, a customer came in who had bought an astronomical telescope or had acquired.
I'm not sure where she actually got it from. But
okay. I thought you were going to say she bought it from you, like back in the Eagle days.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, so
it could have been, but I don't know where she got it from.
What I'm trying to do here is speak to Mike's the depth and breadth of Mike's understanding and experience of optics of all kinds. So photography, Mike is an accomplished photographer, and then astrology, right? He's going to hit me. Astronomical photography. Showed me pictures of nebula.
We call that astrophotography.
Yeah, sure.
You're an astrologist, huh?
And then,
well,
what's
not
your
exactly.
Sign? What's your sign, Mike?
I was created in a lab, so I actually don't have a sign.
But one thing I'm going to say about Mike is Mike and I do a lot of NPEs together for
new product evaluation.
Yeah, that's an acronym. Yep. For optics. Generally speaking, when you and I, there's observation optics. If you look at anything in our line that we've released as later stage EO throughout Vortex, the eyes of Mike McDowell and their incredible acuity are a huge reason that they're here.
No, he'll see things that other people aren't going to see.
I've learned more.
That's all the time.
Yeah,
even when I'm driving down 151.
Give me an example.
I knew where you were at. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is Mike knows a thing or two with respect to sport optics.
I told an old Mike McDowell story today. One of my personal favorites. I mean, I thought it was funny. You may not even recall this, Mike. I don't know. I was over at Eagle.
As a customer?
No, as just back in my Vortex days, and I probably had some question about something, so I was over there. And you were at your desk and you were snipping apart like a 6-pack holder, holds like
beverages,
sodas, yes. And I go, whoa, Mike, what are you doing? You're like, I'm snipping this up. I go, Mike, you got to leave that intact. You catch more birds that way. And if anybody's out there, like Eagle Optics was a very birding focused.
I have no recollection of this.
Oh, I thought the deadpan.
No,
face
I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I remember it because, we had several employees there, avid birders, and you were the only one that laughed. Nobody else appreciated that comment. And
I do have a sense of humor.
And I said, Mike's my guy.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to love going over to EO and asking advanced optics questions. Mike would take his glasses off and he would go, well, and then he would tell you. And then he'd put them back on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we got some questions today, Mike.
Wasn't there something else you were going to say?
No, you're just a great guy.
Oh. I thought you were going somewhere else with that. And then he told his story.
No. I wanted to introduce people who'd never seen you on the podcast. Like, all right. Like, what are your credentials?
We only have 5 minutes left now.
That's true. What are your credentials and what are your accolades here? And that is that Mike McDowell knows a lot. I would wager a guess to say that you are likely the industry's foremost expert on sport optics.
Did you know that not only have I digiscoped through spotting scopes, digital photography through astronomical telescopes, digibind, digiscoping through binoculars, digiscope even for work through rifle scopes and red dots for showing customers things that they need to look for. I also did digital photography through microscopes to look at little
Cells.
cells and things.
Pretty neat.
I didn't know that part,
Yeah.
Mike.
Like
Mike?
parameciums, amoebas, rotifers.
Could you see the cilia?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that interesting. So yeah, it was. I still have the microscope, but one thing I did do with it is I bought a bunch of amber fossils with insects, and I used the microscope to look at them and photograph the insects. And if you want to see those photos, I can show you that sometime.
Everybody's done that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Let's talk about these binoculars that we have on the table.
A series of UHDs of different apertures and magnifications.
Yes, I figured I'd keep it consistent, like one consistent series. That way, when maybe we're making a comparison, it's a little more apples to apples.
I think I got this in 15 seconds. You ready?
Yeah.
So on this side, if things aren't really far away, things are really far away. We're done. No, keep going. I'm sorry.
All right, that'll. Well, let's start on this side. So this is what I would consider a compact binocular, but it's also a little bit of a tweener in a way because you do have smaller compact binoculars. So this is a UHD 8x32. We also have a 10x32 model. In some other series of Vortex optics, we might have like an 8x28 or a 10x28, so an even more compact binocular. No 28 millimeters in this series, though, so the 32 millimeter is the smallest configuration, but I tell you what, this one sure packs a big punch.
That's my favorite Vortex optics binocular of all time.
Mike, I didn't know this.
Yeah. I have one of those.
What do you like so much about it?
The optical quality is the best we've ever had, I think, in an 832 and, dare I say, an 842. I think it smokes some of our 842s.
Michael.
I know. I have a
Gasp.
UHD 8x42 as well, but I prefer the smaller size of the 832 because of the ED combo APO lens. You can Google that. It lets in a lot of light, and it does super incredible resolution. It's just a fantastic binocular to haul around, an anywhere binocular. It's very easy to hold around your neck, whether a regular neck strap or a harness strap. Put it in a backpack. Fits in a glove compartment, though I wouldn't recommend necessarily leaving binoculars in a car, just for temperature differentials. Mm-hmm. Can impact the O-ring seals, but that's a topic for another time. But I think when you look at the sizes of these various UHD binoculars, the size and weight is, I think, its biggest attractor, and the fact that it's a powerhouse in that 32 millimeter objective. It's really good.
So this is the binocular that I carry for like all my Midwest stuff, turkey hunting, whitetail deer hunting. Really, really enjoyed it. When I go out west, I generally go up to a 1042, a 1050, or oftentimes a 12x50. I'd say that's actually probably the bino that I carry most out west. One thing that I think, at least for me, is like somewhat counterintuitive. Like, that has a 32 millimeter objective. Like, certainly the field of view is less than something with maybe like a 50 or a 56 millimeter objective. And I guess, all right, I should keep it between maybe the same power, but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, so it can come at somewhat of a surprise to note that you would think that because of the larger objective lenses going this way, that these are going to have a larger field of view, but the inverse is actually true. The field of view is widest on this side, and then increasingly narrower and narrower as you go up in larger aperture and higher magnification. And the reason for that is twofold. It's a longer tube. You can't get as wide of a field of view in a longer tube. Think of it like the cardboard tube principle. If you have a cardboard tube, this long and one 3 feet long. Well, which one is going to let you see more? Well, it's somewhat crossover to the length of a binocular is going to have a limiting effect on the widest field of view it can have. Also, as you increase magnification, there's kind of a cropping effect that goes on. You're blowing up and trimming, blowing up and trimming. So when you talk about 8 power in a shorter tube length, even though it's only a 32 millimeter aperture lens, it's going to have a super wide field of view, which it does. I forget what it is. It's 390, 380?
472, Mike.
472.
That's what the website said.
That's amazing. I didn't know it was that wide, but that's really good.
The 10 by 32 has a 388.
Okay. That's amazing.
It is also my favorite binocular, and it is the binocular that I take on every hunt, Midwest or West, depending on whether or not I have a spotting scope with.
Fair enough.
Yes. So I use that specifically for its field of view and that optical brilliance that Mike references. And I've spent a lot of time between the 832 UHD, the 842 standard HD, and the 842 UHD evaluating low light performance. And where's the point at which it becomes a detriment? And the reality as a hunter, it's long after I could ever even try to pull a trigger legally.
Sure.
Yeah. So I run the 32 for its form factor and then for its optical prowess.
However, having said all those glowing things about the 832, it doesn't do everything. And you may find yourself in situations, and hopefully you have access to other optics. I don't have just one binocular, as you both well know, but I only can take one or two with me. I don't, like sometimes I'll take the 832, and for closer range things, that's going to be the primary optic. But sometimes I'll pack my 10 by 50, which we're jumping ahead here a little bit. If I find myself in, like a prairie with maybe a gully or draw or whatever, things are a lot further away. Sometimes to properly identify things, I need that extra magnification.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a reason why I might skip a 42 is in a 10, I want the maximum amount of light that I'm going to get in. So even though the 832 has, a 4-something millimeter exit pupil, the 10 by 50 is going to give you a 5 millimeter exit pupil as opposed to a 4.2 out of the 10 by 42. Nothing wrong with 10 by 42s and the UHDs. They also pack a wallop. But if I'm going to go 10, I'm going to go ahead and increase the aperture along with it to get the brightest low light transmission I can get, performance, and the greatest resolution I can get at distance, which I think that's what the 10 by 50 is for. Now, some people might need a little more magnification, and they might go with a 12 by 50. I personally do not do well holding 12s steady enough. Mm-hmm. So my limit is 10s. Now, some people, Ryan, I don't know, maybe you can hold 12s. You mentioned you run the 12.
On a lot of hunts, I'll run the 12s. That's my primary bino that I have on my chest. But it's also a hunt where I want to carry one binocular, and I'm going to be using it on a tripod actually most of the time.
Which you would definitely want to use something like, the big 56 millimeter, which this one is 18 power. If you lean up against a tree or something, or use it in a prone position and stabilize it with your arms, you can probably use that just fine without a tripod. But just if you're doing a lot of hiking and you don't have that fatigue, maybe combined with too much coffee, whatever the case may be, you may find your steadiness very much compromised with 18 power.
When I get up to 12, I'm definitely planning on using my tripod a considerable amount of the time.
Right. And that's okay.
I'll do a quick look here and there, but it's definitely a hunt where I plan on getting to a point and spending likely hours glassing off a tripod. I want to backtrack to, when you're comparing the 10 by 42 and the 1050, and you're definitely gaining some stuff with the 1050, but you're also making some concessions
size
there with
and weight.
Size and weight. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, the whole progression up is a multifaceted trade-off. You're always going to gain something, but you're going to give up something. Usually, obviously when you come this way, you're giving up portability, convenience, right? But you're always going to gain something with a larger aperture, with more light collection and power, magnification. Things are going to be closer. Sometimes that can work to your advantage. Sometimes it can work to a disadvantage, especially if you can't hold it steady. Now, here's an interesting data point for you to consider. This goes back a long time ago. There was actually an optics study that was done by the United States military that compared stable binoculars, like with a tripod or a monopod or something, versus handheld. The effect of tripod mounting a binocular was comparable to doubling the magnification of an unmounted binocular.
You've mentioned that study before, and it's one that I've re-quoted to other people, and just I know when I use a tripod, when I'm tripod glassing, like it's just such a difference maker.
Yeah, like in other words, even with a 10 power binocular, if you have it on a monopod, you would do better perhaps with it than just hand holding an 18.
Oh, for
Of course,
sure.
if you tripod mount the 18, game on. That's a good thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But for these larger aperture, higher magnification binoculars, a tripod is a very good accessory to have along.
Now, if you told me, you earlier, Mike, you're like, well, I have access to multiple binoculars, right? If you said to me, I'm going to pick one binocular, and it's going to be my do-all for Midwest stuff and my out West stuff, backpack stuff, whatever, I'd be actually hard-pressed not to pick a 10x42.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's combining as many wins as you can and trying to mitigate the losses.
Right.
And so, yeah, you give up a little bit of aperture and then thusly exopupil, but of 1042, it's like the universal configuration.
Right.
And has been for a very long time. And you're not really up a creek, right? So Mike's specificity for design is you're looking for extraordinarily finite detail for distinguishing species of birds or butterflies, things like this, where like subtle variations in pattern or color could mean one or the other. Whereas you and I are usually looking at a much larger thing, and we're not necessarily looking for that level of molecular detail. So maybe that aperture isn't what you need. And a 42 frame, that's kind of the sweet spot. That's
right.
The pocket. I will respectfully disagree with you and tell you that 8 is better. Because the human brain really can't tell the difference between 8 and 10 past about 300 yards. And I'll just,
This is the first time I'm hearing this.
yeah.
But
I know I certainly
Mark,
notice a difference between 10 and 12 when I go from 10 to 12.
You are a more power baby kind of guy. More power baby.
More power baby.
I like 8s because I want field of view. I want exopupil. I want stability.
Yeah, I mean, being able to see, a lot of things going on in the periphery, movement, whatever, detail, that's important. It's important when you're looking at things that are flying around. If you have a constricted field of view and a high power binocular like this, you're not going to have very much fun if birding is your forte. Now, it might be great for watching perched eagles somewhere or raptor watching. But, for people who are just going into the woods looking for songbirds during migration, this is not. In fact, they probably wouldn't do well with a 12 either.
No.
For that type of thing, I don't generally recommend going over 10. But 8s that's the predominant binocular bird watchers are gonna go for.
That's interesting. I think it's
832 or
opposite for hunters.
Yeah.
I think 10s are
10 is definitely the most common. And I don't know, I like a 10 power binocular. Like I said, I use the 8s for certain things, but my do-all is definitely going to be a 10 power binocular.
Yeah. And for astronomy, I don't know how many customers we have who are partaking in that hobby. 10x50 is kind of the standard for
Sure. Because you want the aperture.
You want both things.
Yep.
You want that magnification, or everything is going to look like a tiny dot. And it's amazing. Ryan maybe hasn't had the opportunity to compare 8s and 10s on Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and Mars, but that jump from 8 to 10
really
through planets, it makes a substantial difference in how much more you can see. But anyway, just I'd throw that out there.
The field of view of the 12s compared to, do I have the 1050 numbers? I've got the 1050 numbers. So 341 for the 1050s at 1,000 yards. and then the 12s are 288. The 18 by 56, 194. I will say when I use the 12s, like the narrower field of view can be a bit of a bugaboo when you're glassing stuff that's, in tighter.
I think for some people, depending on whatever they're after, it's important to look up every once in a while and just see if you can spy anything naked eye that might be changing around you. I think that's true for whatever the pursuit is, that you don't just stare through the binocular.
Mm-hmm.
Change positions. Like if I go someplace, if I'm like looking for snowy owls, for example, during the winter, I'll pick a spot and just do a scan with it, like a quarter, 90-degree scan with it, change position, do another scan, and keep doing that. I don't want to walk around in circles. I want to keep myself stable and not just look in one spot, but I'm just kind of scanning around. I would imagine in hunting, you do a similar type thing where you've got a large tract of habitat and you just want to start from one end to the other and scan back and forth several times. If you're just, staring in one spot with that constricted field of view, you might miss something.
Yeah, I find myself when I am using like the 12s or the 18s, I have to do probably actually a little bit more of that. Like I'll look for a while, but I'm like, okay, now I got to back out and be like,
exactly.
Do I see any? Okay, boom, I'm going to go back.
Whereas what's nice about like an 842, but especially the 8x32 with that huge field of view, now you might miss something if it's small, but you can pan around a lot quicker.
That's one thing that I haven't done with this Bino is put a tripod adapter on it and tripod glass with it. I'm talking about the 832.
I'll tell you what, is in Idaho.
Life-changing?
Oh my gosh, we had an unbelievable glassing knob, and we're looking at this crazy set of parks and what looked like avalanche chutes, or not avalanche chutes, but just stripped, little meadows, and sitting here and just bracket glassing for hours and hours and hours. We were up there for like 4.5 hours, just waiting for an elk to turn its head or to move out or move in or whatever, and to be able to see such a giant chunk and just start in the top left of my field of view, work my way right, and then back down, and then reposition, and I'm cutting like a mile at a time. It's just awesome.
Well, and, again, it goes back to how you're going to use it. Like an elk, okay, a little bit bigger critter, pop a little bit more. If I'm in Arizona glassing miles away for coos deer, I probably want a 12 or an 18.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I am curious. You got me a little. I mean, I use the 8x30. You got me a little bit more curious about broadening my.
On a pod, they are something else.
Now, if you were just looking for the best general purpose, at least in the UHD line, I would say for general purpose, it's still the 832.
Okay.
Yeah, like
just your
everyday use,
observer,
sporting events, whatever, hiking, just as easier to lug around. Whereas the larger aperture, higher magnifications, they're less general. You're going to buy these for more specific things,
a little more specialized application.
Exactly. Whereas for birding, you wouldn't do these, but not that these are specialized. It just so happens that general all-purpose binoculars actually are the ones that work great for bird watching too.
Right.
Yeah.
In some ways, I mean, they are special. That's the one that's going to be optimal for that application.
Right. Whereas, though, the bonus I'm trying to lead you to here is that they are also really good for general purpose, where these are not really necessarily good for general purpose. They are very specialized for long-distance observation.
Yeah, they're great for hunting. That's what matters, Mike.
Whereas...
I don't even know why we're talking about these other things, honestly.
But if someone is not a bird watcher or a hunter, and they just want a pair of binoculars, I would steer them towards like the 832.
Now, would you do we have an 832 in the Diamondback series? Would that be kind of your same recommendation?
Yeah, it parallels whatever line you're looking at. And I know we don't have as many, like some of our lines, we only have 842, 1042, 1050, and 1250. But it's very analogous to that. Whatever line you're in, the rules kind of follow that with field of view, exit pupil, steadiness, pretty much the same. You know, weight might be a factor in holding steady a 10 by 50, but it can work one way or the other. If a binocular is too light, sometimes the unsteadiness is worse in your hands. For other people, it might be that it's too heavy for them. So you can't just go by I can't hold any 12 by 50 steady. Well, you might. You might want to try a few of the options, Viper, Razor, Diamondback, 12 by 50s. Maybe there's one that you can hold steadier than the other. It isn't just, you know, you can't just be dismissive of all 12 by 50s if you've only ever tried one model.
Well, and I think you need to experiment with different ways of holding the binocular. You know, holding a binocular just like this might be unsteady, but then, you know, if you lock your elbows in, brace your elbows, maybe you sit down, maybe you're leaning, you know, you brace yourself against a tree.
Just
whatever.
pick up
there's
a stick.
Different things you can do to stabilize your binoculars.
And just tie a stick right here and just hold the stick to your chest right here and just hold it up. I'm just kidding.
Get yourself some baling wire and
you know, there is such a thing on the market that holds. Yeah,
I have seen that before.
Was it called the Bino stick?
So, something like that.
Yeah.
Field optics research would make it.
There you go.
Anything else, Mark, that you can think of? Any questions that are?
No, I think we covered a lot of just going through the different configurations and, you know, where they're optimally used. I mean, as with most everything we cover in this regard, it
depends.
It depends, you know, and also how are you going to use it? Like, you know, what's a good rifle scope for deer hunting, or what's a good binocular for deer hunting? It's like, well, again, are you hunting Coues deer in Arizona? Are you hunting whitetails in Wisconsin? How are you using it?
One other point for the audience would be, if you're at like $100 8x32, or let's even say a 6x32, the impulse might be, because you want to see more, you want to see better, to get like a 12x50, maybe in that same price point. But there's another thing you got to think about is, it may not be that you need more magnification or a larger aperture, but improving the glass quality can make a big difference too. Like, you might be 832s all the way up the line, okay? But if you have a real inexpensive 832, you might be amazed if you get a super high quality 8x32, just how much more you can see with it. So I just make that point too.
Oh, okay.
Glass quality is a factor, that if you think you need more magnification or a larger aperture, don't always count on that. You might just need to up the optical quality alone, and stick with 832s or 842s, whatever your game is.
Quality.
Just go
first,
up in glass quality.
Quantity second.
I would agree with that.
The best rule in optics.
Yeah.
It's one of the only rules in optics, because there's not a lot of rules in optics.
There's no rules. Remember that commercial? Anyway.
I don't.
I agree, you know, but I would also say, as you go up in optical quality, oftentimes, you know, like, you get to this tier of optics. Like, there's not a ton of difference between the price of all.
No, correct.
So it does just go. But I agree. Like, if you said, well, what are you going to place a precedence on? I mean,
it should not be magnification first.
Right.
Yeah. Buy the highest quality optic you can afford, even if it's in the lowest magnification in the line. That will do you better than dropping a line for equivalent price to get magnification.
Another way of saying it might be, if you go from $100 8x32 to a $500 8x32, you will see further away and make more accurate identifications with the more, and that all the way up the food chain. In 832s alone, for example, you can do that same argument for 1050s. An inexpensive 1050 to a super expensive one. You're not changing the power or the aperture, but you're changing glass quality, and as a consequence of that, you're going to see a lot more as you go up in price.
What I always say, too, the better glass you have, the more you're going to glass, because it's just a way better experience.
Yeah.
And you'll find that you're finding more things by using your glass. So you're going to want to use your glass to find the things.
Yeah.
But it's a better experience while you're finding the things, you know, less eye fatigue, and it's just, the whole thing is just... Well, cool, Mike. Well, I appreciate you dropping in to chat binoculars and optics with us, and hopefully we answered a few questions for folks out there that have maybe been like, well, what size binocular should I get, you know? And boy, if we didn't, let us know. Give us a shout. probably talk to Ryan, maybe Mike, and we'll help you out with that question.
Sounds good.
Until next time, happy hunting and shooting, and keep on glass and stay glassy. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.